You're listening to Opening the Harp Chakra, the podcast, bringing you beautiful, healing, magical harp music and talking with the artists that create it. I'm your host, Jay Michaels. Welcome back. It's been a few years since this podcast went on hiatus, and I am so glad that you are here listening. Thank you so very much. We'd like to welcome a new sponsor to the podcast, Pedran Harps, P-E-D-R-A-N, Harps, from Wales, a beautiful small harp company, building harps from naturally felled wood in Wales. And specifically, the Pedran Bach is the harp I use. It's a small travel harp, 20 strings. I brought this harp to Ireland with me this past year. Oh, it was beautiful playing that harp. If you'd like more information and a discount, if you'd like to purchase a Pedran Bach, please check out the description notes. All the information is there along with a link. So on that trip to Ireland, my wife Abby and I recently visited Ireland in May of 2026. We were all over the place, playing music, attending festivals, and just enjoying the beauty of Ireland. Then we went to Northern Ireland, Belfast, and met up with my good friend Ursula Burns, and we had a lovely chat and listened to some of her music as well. So here's that interview from Northern Ireland, Belfast, and Ursula Burns. But we're here at the Harrison Hotel in Belfast with Ursula Burns. I said one day when I bring the podcast back from hiatus, and now that it's back, it's time to have Ursula Burns on the podcast. So very happy to have you here. So I always ask guests, what brought you to the harp? How did you and the instrument first get together?
Well, I spent most of my life trying to resist the harp. My mother's a harpist, and she's a self-taught harpist, and she's an O'Neill from Tyrone, so I'm from a long line of lineage of harpers.
Indeed.
And my mum was outside the mold, so she used to set W.B. Yeats poems to music, and that was her thing. She didn't go through the official channels of learning the traditional style of harping. She was very much into the creative side of harping, and my grandfather was a fiddle player from the Blue Stacks of Donegal. He's an O'Neill from the family of O'Neills that we're from are from Donegal and Tyrone. There's a branch of the O'Neills in each place. And my grandfather ended up settling in Tyrone, and my aunt, actually the harper Arthur O'Neill, passed away in Maydown estate in Eglish, and that has a connection. That's my aunt's land. The cottage is no longer there, but I would say that my musical background is from a lineage of musicians.
Indeed, yes it is. Yeah. What was your first experience with the harp like, when you first actually played the harp for the first time?
Well, my first experience with the harp was resisting not playing it. My mum played harp and I didn't want to play harp, but I would go around all the medieval banquets with mum, and from I was born I'd be singing with her, she would take me on all the tours, all the folk clubs, and on Donegal they would have gigs on the back of trucks, and my grandfather would be playing for the Cayley in the old wooden hall. The men would be up one side of the room and the women would be up the other, and then they bring out the sandwiches at half time, and you could hear the music in the hall, and they would do the set dancing. And my dad was a bit of a comedian. He worked in a factory, but he was a funny guy, so they would go into the bar, Nancy's bar in Inver, and my dad would start, ladies and gentlemen, he'd sing a wee song, he'd get somebody else to do a party piece, and then he'd ask for hush for my mum to play a tune on the harp, and then the word would get out, and all the musicians of all stars start coming to the bar, and then the pints would be flowing, and we were only children, and we were there, and I'd be singing with mum. And then as I got a bit older, by the time I was a teenager, she was dragging me around all the medieval banquets and castles and fairs, and I know you know about all of that.
We do, yes indeed.
I loved it as well, but by that stage I still wasn't playing harp. I was playing the bowed psaltery, and I was singing harmonies. So I still didn't want to touch the harp, but the piano was my first love, and I could play the piano from when I was about 4. I wrote my first song on the piano. I could just naturally play, and I had very severe dyslexia, so I tried a lesson, but I couldn't really I couldn't cross that bridge. I couldn't read music, and I still can't. So, but I had a strong ear. So I did resist. I ran away with a circus and a theatre company, and I ended up in England on a horse-drawn theatre company for 3 years. And a guy came up from London, and his name was Keith. And Keith had a wee tiny harp, not unlike the size.
The one I have.
But it didn't sound as good as yours.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yours sounds fabulous. But his was a wee tiny harp. And he passed it around, and they passed it to me. And I was sitting in England around the campfire, and I put my hands on the harp. And because I knew all my grandfather's tunes, all my mum's tunes, I just straight in to play that song, Fanny Power, the Carolyn one. And the musicians, I was there as a performer, their jaws dropped open. They were like, "You never told us you could play the harp." And I was like, "Well, I don't really play the harp." So at that stage, I realised I had to go back home. And I left the company and came back home, and my mum got me, I don't know how she managed it, but she got a Paraguayan harp and said, "If you string this one up, you come to the gig with me, I'll give you 60 quid. So I was only going out to do the gig for some money, and then I sat beside my mum, and I was picking, she was played for 3 hours or something in the restaurant, and I was picking out the bass, which already, and the harmonies, so playing sort of second fiddle really worked for me, because I really liked this kind of freedom and the exploration. And everybody thought I was a harpist, and within a couple of months I was doing 2-hour gigs on my own.
Nice.
It just, all the music was there, it just needed unlocked. Once I worked out, you put it in G, you put it in C.
Yeah.
And when I worked out how to tune it, that was it. I could just play. It wasn't rocket science, as they say.
Well, some say that if you play piano before you play the harp, because we're kindred spirits in that way. I played the piano first, and I jumped in pretty quickly and started playing. So it's a very interesting connection. I think sometimes the harp plays you, or the harp teaches you.
This is what I write about, because it's a symbiotic relationship, and it's actually the original art form. Was very much about, it's a two-way street. So every single harp I've ever played, and I've had a lot, I go through harps, every single harp I've had has brought something different out in my playing, and that's why I'm kind of addicted to keeping it moving and getting a new instrument, because it keeps it fresh. And every relationship I have with a harp is different. So the Paraguayan harps bring out the funny side, because they've got this bass and this short attack. Sure. And other harps that will bring a beautiful melodic air. But the piano, I do play the harp like a piano, and the openness and the run. It's like the sea for me. It's like the ocean. It's got an expanse of possibility, and it's also so similar to the piano in terms of when you put it in the key. I just find it so similar to the piano.
Indeed,
That's why I play the piano with one hand and the harp with the other, because they're the same instrument to me. They're similar.
It's brilliant. It is. You have gone through, I think, some different incarnations in your professional career. You were known as the Dangerous Harpist. Do you still do the Dangerous Harpist sometimes, or is that?
Well, the Dangerous Harpist was kind of, it's a joke thing, right? Because it's a joke and it's not a joke. The dangerous aspect was about being bold and breaking the mold and bad, but there was a deeper connection with that. In Ireland, there's a sort of very approach to the harp that is traditional that I've never followed and resisted following into, in terms of learning repertoire and teaching skill, and how there's an approach to the harp which instead it's putting the music in, imprinting the music in from either notes or the oral tradition, but in a way a lot of people who are learning do read and that sort of thing. For me, the aspect was about drawing it out. And I was always natural songwriter, born songwriter, and I like bringing social commentary and humour into my songs. So I can write what I would call straight songs, but I would also verge into other forms of expression. So it's almost treating the harp like a singer-songwriter would treat a guitar. So the aspect of that is that the dangerous harping came from the fact that, for me, it was a sort of a statement that was going to shake things up a wee bit. In the 1600s, the harpers in Ireland were considered dangerous, and there was a very complex hierarchical structure in the society, and culture was the very centre of the spoke of that wheel. And the English, or Queen Elizabeth, whoever, there's a lot of contest about it. Some people say she didn't call them dangerous and they weren't attacked, but other people say that they were. But nobody can deny that the culture was driven underground, right, and that the language was driven underground, mm-hmm, and that no one can really deny the history of what unfolded in Ireland. I've lived through my experiences of the repercussions of it, and grown up on the Falls Road. So that was also an aspect of the Dangerous Harpist for me, because I was growing up in a really very, very, very difficult and dark times, very complex, real struggle. I grew up in the 70s, and I went to school in the Falls Road, so I don't know if your listeners would understand the connotations of that, but there was a lot of fighting and a lot of army occupation and right, all that. So for me, the romantic Ireland opposed to the, romantic Ireland as in Harp and Mary O'Hara and Yeats, and in a way my mum, and mm-hmm, the beauty. And I love the beauty, and I love Ireland, and I love nature, don't get me wrong. Sure. But I was growing up as sort of almost a sensitive person in a very volatile and violent society, and my comment of the Dangerous Harpist was I didn't want to be sweet and nice, mm-hmm, and I wanted to disturb the politeness and the beauty, and it wasn't okay, and this could translate through to harp, and that's what my whole statement has been the whole way along. I broke it in every possible way I could think of, from flying to lying down on the floor to cursing to writing about difficult subject matter to making albums to strapping myself onto the front of a curra and playing as a figurehead for 8 hours up and down the Lagan.
Wow. Yeah, you certainly did it, and you certainly made an impression. I know you made an impression on me when I first started looking into your videos and your music, and I think it's really important to make a statement, to forge your own way, because a lot of people can play the harp the same way, which is great, but it's those that adventure out of those boundaries that make history, like you.
Well, it's been a complex and difficult journey, and I think I have a non-orthodox approach, and I've been very contemporary in my approach. My lineage is tradition, it would be from the tradition, but when you look deeper into the tradition, the original harpers would have had self-expression, mm-hmm, they would have gone to bardic school, they would make social commentary, they could use satire, and I'm not saying it's a carbon copy of what I do, but what I'm saying is that there is a cultural validation that my work has not received yet in Ireland, or an acknowledgement that the connection hasn't really been made. I haven't communicated it very clearly. I've just been doing what I've been doing, but I'm on the verge of communicating it. I am writing a book, and that is out of the comfort zone for me, and I am giving the full picture of why I do what I do, and why the exploration has not been about success or failure. It's been about exploration. It's been about taking a non-orthodox approach.
That's great, because I think you're making a great statement here and being very clear about it, but the book will even take that to a new level, right?
Yes, and I'm trying to get all the nuances of that right, and as a dyslexic it's been a big challenge also, as I'm writing it in my spare time. Like, I was up this morning, I start at 7 and I do a couple of hours or an hour every day, and it's discipline. I'm getting very tired. I really want to finish the book and get it out, but I'm also doing it myself, so it's taken a lot of I don't want to upset people by saying some of the things that I'm saying. I don't want to. The idea is you rock the boat, but not so much that you fall out.
Exactly.
And I've fallen out before. I've been chucked out. I've had all sorts of experiences outside the boat. But actually, I would like to make it palatable, and communicate it clearly. And I'm putting a lot of effort and work into communicating the full journey clearly, because I've lived the journey. I have the receipts. I've done the work. I just need to package it and let people know what it was. And that's what you asked me. It's about the Dangerous Harpist. Queen Elizabeth I said, hang the harpers and burn their instruments, and they were considered dangerous. Some people think she didn't say that. Now, I unpack all of that in the book.
Sure.
But whether she said it or didn't say it, the culture was a threat. And there's the aspects of the culture that were a threat didn't survive to the Bunting Festival. Because in 1792 in this city, down in the assembly rooms, the Bunting Festival was a bid to capture the last of the dying art form, and to pull. They did literally save the art form. It pulled it through the eye of the needle, and it was immensely successful in that respect. But my point is that the culture that survived was not the same culture that got destructed. Boom, boom, boom. Right. I think you're going to need a theme tune there.
I think so. That's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot more to the Bunting Festival, and I think you're going to explore that more in your book, so we can look.
It's done.
Okay, we'll look forward to that when it comes out. When are you expecting the book to come out, do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. It'll be coming out in the future?
Yes.
Or depending on when you're hearing this podcast, it may already be out.
Yes, it's going to be called Belfast Rebel Harp.
Nice. Belfast Rebel Harp. Beautiful.
It's good.
Let's talk about your album, The Secret Melodies of Trees. I got the S there. The Secret Melodies of Trees. It's I got this I downloaded from probably Bandcamp, I think, and I love it, and I love the video of the Dreaming in Violet. Beautiful playing, a beautiful video. Can you talk a little bit about how that video came to be?
Yeah,
the way you made it.
I'll go on to the video, but first I'll tell you I wanted, coming up on 30 years of devising my own style of playing, which had all the influences of my lineage, heritage, music from childhood, and the fact that I was working on a Paraguayan harp. I thought perhaps it was Paraguayan influence, but it turned out when I went to Paraguay to the festival, I realised it wasn't really Paraguayan influence, but so goodness knows what it was. It was my expression on the harp between the harps that I was playing. So I felt that because I had a big epic fail in my life with my career, which was a mistake I made, that was very public and very shaming and very difficult for me to recover from. I also felt that I felt like outside of the harp world, and I felt it would be really nice to document my style and just play harp in an album. It was my 7th studio album, but I had never made a harp album, and I had never given the harp any space on any of the albums. They were all about songs. So I wanted to work with somebody fantastic, and I asked Donald O'Connor, is a really master musician, and he's into the traditional music. He's the founder of Belfast Trad Fest, which for your audience, highly recommend at the end of July. If you ever want to come to Belfast, that's the time to do it, because he runs all the courses and people can turn their hand to any traditional music, and they put on an array of fabulous concerts. But so I wanted to work with him, and he took the project on, and we had a meeting, and I said I want to make a harp album, and then I wrote all the tunes, and we were trying to discuss like what is it what is the concept of it? And we were thinking that I'm Irish, but I never followed the traditional pathway to the harp. So it was Irish with a small I. And then we got the cover of the trees, and it happened because they cut 12 sycamores down round the corner from my house, and you'd have thought someone died. I wept for 2 weeks. I was so upset. These were very old trees, and I wrote Where the Sycamore Used to Be, which is the last track on the album. And then I realised that I wanted to make. You see, the ancient Druidic thing was, well, not only does the harp come from a tree, right, but the ancient Druids would have connected to music through nature, and the bardic thing connecting to the music through nature. And although I've never put it out publicly so much forward in my career, I am a very nature-driven person, swimming in the sea, going in the forests, meditating. All these things are daily for me. I don't watch TV, I connect with nature, that's how I live. So I wanted to evoke an aspect of that ancient practice, which is connecting with nature. And so I felt that was the album to do it. And then we made the album, and I was delighted. I got reviews from all over the world, and everybody ignored it in Ireland, but that's fine, I don't mind. But what happened was Michael McNulty he's a real character in Belfast. I met him because I wrote a song about him. You like to go to the hospital, because he was such a funny guy, and he makes all my videos, but they're all done on about 50p of a budget. Like, there's literally no budget. And I said to Michael, of course there's very little budget for this, and I need a video for this beautiful tune called Dreaming in Violet as Jacaranda Petals Fall. And the titles of every tune was not so much to say the oak, the ash, the willow in reference to trees. It was more how we have relationships with trees. So this one's about the petals falling and making the path go all violet, and the other tune like holding your breath while you're going through the wishing trees, and in that moment where you're an adult or a child, I do it as an adult, I hold my breath when I'm driving through the trees and I make my wishes, and these practices are just, or when you're just out for a walk and you just put your hand on the trunk, or that moment in the Secret Melodies of Trees where the last lone leaf is just wafting down, and it was evoking our relationship with trees. So anyway, back to the video. Michael said, yeah, sure, come round. So I came round with the harp. We put the legs out, stood it up, and he said, just play it a wee bit. So I just played it a wee bit. He put the track on, and I went once through over the top. And he said, I'll have it for you in a few days.
Wow, that was it, huh?
And he sent it to me.
It's a beautiful
He had a green
video.
screen, but he's magical. He is just so good at what he does. And he doesn't get enough credit for his absolute skill. And he's so gracious to always accommodate, and you turn up and say, oh, as usual, there's no budget. Where all the videos on my YouTube are made by Michael, and they're all so different and so random, and they're all on a very practically no budget, very low budget.
You'd never know. We'll put a link to your videos on YouTube in the description to the podcast, so people can go look at them, because like I say, this is a beautiful video, and you'd never know you spent so little on it, because it's very beautiful.
Well, it really evoked it's slow pace, it's gentle on the nervous system, and it's such a perfect kind of, and
it's just that beautiful when you're coming to with your harp. It's just lovely. We're going to actually have you play for us the Secret Melodies of Trees, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Ursula Burns here at the Harrison Hotel in Belfast, Northern Ireland, listening to you play your harp. How nice. It's so nice, once again, to meet you in person, to get to sit here in this lovely hotel downtown in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and just chat. It's wonderful. Thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and also likewise, I've been loving watching your journey, and I see your videos, and it's so nice to meet in person. I'm so thrilled that you made it to Belfast.
Yeah, we had a wonderful visit from Dublin to Galway to Kinvara to the Cuckoo, Fleet, and Dingle, and we've been playing, and this is towards the end of our trip, but what a nice way to wind it down, just to sit here and chat and talk harp. We'll put some links to how to get your album and your albums. As I mentioned before, we'll link to your YouTube page so people can find those beautiful videos. And let's not forget about, I know a lot of people love the song Caledonia, and the guy that wrote it, Dougie MacLean, and you and him have a connection.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll tell your people about that. So
that'd be great.
My family are musicians, and my uncle lives out in France. His name's Pat O'Neill. He plays fiddle and flute. He's a musician, and he was busking in the 70s in I think it was in France somewhere. It might have been Brittany, I don't know exactly. But Dougie came along the street, and Dougie had been in a band called the Tamil Weavers. Mm-hmm. And the song goes, he lost some friends and found some new friends along the way.
Right.
Can't remember the exact line. And the new friend he found was my Uncle Pat. And they did a bit of busking together. And then Dougie was homesick, and he'd been starting to write Caledonia on the Beach, the song, which is practically the unofficial national anthem of Scotland.
It is, yeah, indeed.
So everybody loves it. So anyway, and rightly so. Dougie, when my uncle said, well, sure, come with us back to Ireland on the boat, and then you can stay in our house, and then you can go on home to Scotland from there. Of course, this was the height of the Troubles in the north of Ireland.
Sure, yeah.
And they took Dougie under their wing and brought him back to my grandfather's house. And my grandfather had a gig that night, and it was round the corner in the parochial hall for the priest. So they said, come on Dougie, you're playing on stage too. And they dragged Dougie out onto stage, and there's a photograph of my grandfather, Dougie MacLean, my Uncle Pat on his fiddle, and two other musicians on the stage. So Dougie they gave him 10p, he went up to the phone box to put the money in and call his parents to tell them he was safe, but he was actually in quite an unsafe place. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they said, but they all went on to the pub, and Dougie went back to the house. And Dougie hasn't confirmed this, and we don't exactly know, because it was 1977 when the song was written in June. Mm-hmm. But my grandfather's fire, they used to say that the sun had fallen out of the sky and down the chimney, and all around the fire it was all burnt, because the fire was so bright. And in the third verse, you hear the flames, they couldn't get any higher.
Right.
And then the embers die away, and he's by the fire, and he knows what he must do tomorrow. When kisses flow, he must say goodbye and go back off to Scotland with the song. And I'm convinced, and I told Dougie, no, you did write it in my grandfather's house. And he's going,
the evidence certainly suggests that he did, yes.
I said, no. But anyway, we did have a good laugh about it backstage.
Sure.
So when we were chatting about it, Dougie said, do you want to play the harp on it?
Now this was just recently at the Belfast.
It was a couple of weeks ago. Well, I say weeks. It was the 20th of February. No, it wasn't. It was 14th of February.
Okay.
2025. Is that? That's so precise.
Not 2026.
Oh, 2026.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll figure all this temporal stuff out. Yes.
So it was only a few months ago. Mm-hmm. So Dougie said, "Come on," and the audience were just about to let them in. So we went on to the stage to find the harp, and it worked out. It was all the levers were up. I didn't even know what key it was in, and I didn't get a chance to practice it with him. But he said, "Join me on stage; it'll be grand." So I got on stage behind him and started to play the tune, and I just felt so transported when I was on stage. I was just back there in my grandparents' room. It was old fashioned, you know, and I could imagine Dougie just sitting there as the young. I showed him the photograph of him at that time. And he was he'd long hair. He couldn't believe the photograph. It looks so 70s, and it was just such a beautiful moment. And I was saying earlier, my mum was a harpist, but she took a stroke last November, couldn't walk or talk. Sorry. And she couldn't play harp anymore. And she'd run a very strong business, providing music for 30 years, you know. So anyway, Mum was in hospital. I said to Mum, I'm going to be doing a gig with Dougie MacLean. Well, here she was. One eye opened, the other eye opened, wow. And she practically sat up in the bed, and she got better for that gig.
No kidding.
She could walk and talk, and she wrote Dougie a poem, and she came to the gig, wow. And all my family were there, and everybody came from Tyrone, and the place was just electric. And afterwards, Dougie wanted to go out. He was doing the vape thing. Well, everybody in the whole venue lined up to say hello to him. He must have been there 2.5 hours. Wow. Shaking hands and doing like a royal lineup with everybody, and everybody was so happy. People were giving him gifts, and my aunt gave him the framed copy of the photograph, and Mum gave him a poem, and he was just like, this is fantastic. It was really magical and very memorable, and it was all thanks to Belfast Trad Fest, because the guy made the album with Donal O'Connor. At the time we were making the album, we were chatting as we were, you know, mixing the thing down, and I told him that story. And then he met Dougie in Scotland in the lift and said, will you come over and play the gig? And he arranged the gig. So it was a combination of Belfast Trad Fest and Dougie, and it all came together so beautifully.
When you first posted the first video of that, I know that the angle didn't get all the sound quarter, and you couldn't quite hear the harp as much, but I felt for you. I mean, I felt that, wow, this is so cool. Yeah. You know, for you to actually come full circle with this whole relationship with him.
There was a better video the one that was taken from the back, where you could hear the sound. I think I held back for the first verse, because obviously Caledonia is like, everybody who bought a ticket for that gig wants to hear that song.
Right, that's the crown jewel.
I didn't want to like tramp in with my welly bits on right at the top. I decided to hang back for the first verse, and then I started quite tentatively to find the chords, and then I was in. It gathered.
It grew and developed,
and also was quite trying to just sit behind the song, but not go too far forward, because of the reverence of people's relationship to that song. Absolutely. I didn't feel like I could. Also, I wasn't sure what I was doing.
Well, I've seen videos of Dougie doing that tune with great groups of people, where he just kind of hangs back and sings on the choruses too. So, you know, it goes both ways. But it was a moment. It was a beautiful moment.
It was a historical moment for me, because
so glad you had it.
The family connection to the song, the fact that he brought that song via my grandparents' house, you know, back to Scotland, is magic. And my aunts were there. They were the first people in the world who ever heard it. Right. He played it to my 2 aunties, you know, and there they were at the gig, you know.
Yeah, what a memory, what a legacy.
It's magic. Yeah, and also for Northern Ireland, that Caledonia had a connection to here to Belfast. You know, Dougie thinks that the Moy is a suburb of Belfast. He kept saying, and there we were in Belfast, when he doesn't realise the Moy's an hour up the road. You know, it's in Tyrone. It's more rural. You know, but he was magic, and everybody loves him here. You know, we're all very fond of Dougie.
Yeah, a lot of folks love him in the States too.
Oh, he's so loved, because it's just magical that he what he managed to convey in his songwriting, you know.
Yeah, so many of his songs just tug at your heartstrings
Yeah.
or just make you feel good. And during the pandemic, when he started doing the live concerts from his house, what a wonderful thing to do.
He still does them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still, every Friday night he does a live.
Oh, every Friday night. I didn't realize he was
Or
doing
Saturday,
it. Yeah.
I think. Well, I don't
Weekly.
know.
Wow.
He does do a lot of lives. You just have to follow him
Just follow him.
online, and he does his live show on the weekend.
Nice. Just a question out of curiosity, because the harp is the national emblem of Ireland. In Northern Ireland, does it carry the same weight, or is it...
Well, I think so. I mean, technically, we are under British rule. That's why they're all fighting about flags.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Did I bring up a sore subject? I mean,
Everybody's fighting for years about this. But the Irish... The harp would be the symbol of the south of Southern Ireland.
Yes.
The people who want a united Ireland would be delighted and say that the harp is their symbol too. I would perceive that Northern Ireland has its own unique chemistry of people who identify as British and people who identify as Irish.
Sure.
And I think both should be set. You know it's everybody's right now who's been fighting about it to say I'm either British or I'm Irish. Of course, I play harp and I would identify as an Irish person,
right.
but I would not be critical of anybody who identifies as British. It's why everybody's been fighting for years, so I'm not going to solve it. But what I would say is that Northern Ireland does need to unite with itself. In terms of, and I think the harp, obviously the harp has consumed I've devoted my life to harp. So for me, it's a perfect symbol, and I do play the instrument that is the emblem of Ireland.
There you go.
So it's not inseparable.
Well, I think music is something that connects us all, and whether it's Irish harp music or Irish fiddle music, jigs, reels, ballads, airs, it's all wonderful, it's all beautiful, and it's all part of Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful legacy for everyone.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how could you not want to love it? Or it's such a powerful instrument. And its history, it's complex history, and the complexity that you have when you step out of the norms of the perceived vision of the harp is real. There is a power in it, and there's also a power in breaking the perceived mold of what it's been boxed into.
It's good of you to do that. You are a visionary.
Well, it's not a path for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
And it's tough out there.
That's
all I can say.
And having to change a harp string in the gig is one of the most difficult things that anyone will ever have to do.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't. I think if you get the tension right on your harp, ideally you shouldn't be having to.
You shouldn't be.
You shouldn't have to.
But should
change.
the unthinkable happen?
It's happened to me before,
Same here.
But I had a very highly strung harp.
I see.
Really bad. It would ping strings. I sometimes thought it was shot. When the string goes, it's like being
It's uncharacteristic,
shot.
the sound that comes from a harp when a string breaks.
So, and it affects your whole body. Like if you're playing the harp and a string goes, it shouldn't happen. Every single harp I've ever had since that one has delicious tension that just won't go there. It will not break a string when I'm playing because the tension is perfect. Strings breaking are about tension, as are most things, even the situation in Northern Ireland.
Yes, indeed. This has been wonderful chatting with you today, Ursula. The podcast had been on hiatus for quite some time, and you inspired me to get it back when you said, let's get together in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and I said, yeah, let's get the podcast back on. So let's get the band back together, kids.
Chariots of Fire on the harp for you.
Yeah. Yes. We can walk in slow motion down the streets of Belfast.
Yay!
Yes.
It's fantastic. I'm so that's an honour, and how delightful to to meet you after watching your journey as well. And it means a lot to me to get any sort of validation for my work, because it hasn't happened in Ireland. So that's the reality.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's happening. It is in the process of happening. We will link, as I said before, your website and your YouTube page, and where people can buy your CDs or download your CDs.
Thank you so much.
And we actually, beforehand, we shot a little video of us playing together, my wife and lovely musical partner for 21 years, playing music together. Actually, more than that. We've been married 21 years, but even longer than that. And she's in there too. So we'll put a link to wherever that's going to end up.
Gorgeous.
As well.
And can I just say, Abby's such a sensational player. When we were playing the tune, we were both on the same page, and we went into the harmony at the same time, and then we went with it. But I would love to get the chance to play more. And the next time you come to Belfast, we're going to arrange a gig in this room.
Excellent.
I'll pack it out for you.
And the next time you come to the States, we'll do the same thing.
Amazing. Same thing. Yes. Yeah. I've got a travel case there, born ready.
Excellent. So mote it be. It will happen.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Totally my pleasure. It would be great to get you down to see the assembly rooms before you go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Because you can't come all the way to Belfast and not see where the Bunting Festival happened.
No.
You can't?
No.
I think we should do it.
I think we should do it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll jump in your car, or do you come into my truck?
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Well, I've only one seat, so I'll come in your car.
All right.
And I'll show you where it is.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Bye, podcast.
Bye,
we gotta go.
Thank you.